Hello and welcome to my channel Malavika's Magic. Today I'll be sharing with you my views on organizational communication. So let us begin by understanding the meaning and types. Communication between interrelated individuals is called as organizational communication. It could take two forms, that is internal communication within an organization amongst employees, and communication outside an organization, that is external, with other organizations, with the media, with the customers, with the bank officials, with the lawyers, and so on. So let us understand internal communication in greater detail. So first of all, internal communication takes place in the way of formal channels, that is informal settings. The environment is formal, where the discussion pertains to how to increase the productivity of the organization, how to understand the goals of the organization, and so on. So this formal communication usually takes place through written communication, as the organization wants to maintain a record of all the communication that has taken place. There are certain strategies that every organization follows. So let us understand the strategy. So for example, an organization might decide to group some of the employees under the brand name of communicating or popularizing the brand of the organization. And then you have another group, that is the research and development group. And then the third group, that is the people who have experienced in delivering the products. So they are assigned that responsibility. Then the other responsibility could be assigned, to people who are able to identify the problems in the organization and to solve the problems. Then another group could be there related to the customer service. So people who are efficient in giving the services to the customer so that the customer does not have any complaint. So they are given the responsibility of doing that. And another set of employees could be given the responsibility of making all the people feel as if they belong to the organization and they are equally responsible for taking decisions related to the organization. So everybody is responsible for the productivity of the organization, and it should not be only assigned to the top officials. Then there's another group where the employees are given the task of finding out the preference of the customers and accordingly implement the strategies or tactics that help them to sell the product of their organization. Now, all this, the division of the employees into different groups ensures that, there is collaboration amongst the team members, and also with different, the groups, they're able to, cooperate and collaborate so that, the efficiency of the people improves. And in turn, the productivity of the organization will also improve. Now, let us go to the informal channels. Informal channels, takes place during informal surroundings, that is during lunch breaks and tea breaks. And this communication is oral in nature. And so therefore, there is a possibility that people are free, to communicate as this communication is not recorded. So now, why does the company encourage informal channels of communication? There are certain strategies why the companies encourage. The first strategy is they want the employees to feel relaxed. They want the employees to have some sort of, to be at ease while they're working, to feel comfortable while they're working. And this is possible only when they relax. So otherwise they will be completely stressed out. Then the next is they supplement the official channels. Certain information can be passed through the official channels in a much better way. And this is possible only when, the employees, they are able to spread the message very fast through the informal channels. During the formal channels, as it is a hierarchical structure that is followed, so it might take a very long time for the message to reach the concerned person, and also to obtain feedback from the concerned person. So that information, if it is passed through the informal channels, automatically the concerned person also gets the feedback immediately. Then comes the next strategy, that is establishing personal contacts. It helps to establish personal contacts rather than maintain only official or professional relationship. If you develop personal contact, it definitely leads to better understanding of the other person, and this can improve, the cooperation and coordination that is required. Then comes the resolving conflict. By conflict, I mean the difference of opinion that exists between people. This is because of their perspective that they develop on the basis of their experience. And so when these conflicts are bound to occur in an organization, so in the formal channels, it might be difficult to resolve the conflicts, but in an informal setting, you understand the person better, and you also understand, why they've developed this perspective. You understand the experience, and therefore, this understanding can lead to the acceptance of the opinion, and this can have a better result in the efficiency of the organization. Then comes the next point, that is the higher officials want that all the employees should be in a position to share information, to remove the fear and the hesitation of communicating, and this is possible only when the communication is encouraged through the informal channels. And of course, it also becomes a motivating factor, because once you listen to the achievements of the other people, once you understand how they have been able to achieve, that helps in motivating the employees, and it encourages them to move ahead and to pursue their goals. And then the next is relationship. So when you develop personal contacts, automatically you also develop relationship. For example, the relationship between the higher officials, the managing director and the worker, the relationship between the team leaders and the supervisors, and so on. This relationship is better understood in informal channels, and thus, you can definitely work towards a better, productivity of the organization. Now, having understood this, let us understand in detail the formal channels of communication. First is the formal channels can be in a hierarchical structure. Usually the hierarchical structure is followed, whereby you have the subordinates communicating with the superiors. That is the lower level officials communicating with the higher level officials. And this is done through in a hierarchical manner. So for example, the workers, they communicate with the immediate superiors, that is the supervisors with the team leaders with the heads of the department, and the heads with the managing director. That is why it is called as upward communication. Then you have another formal communication, that is when communication flows down from the superiors to the subordinates, which is called as downward communication. And so the superiors need to communicate certain information related to the organization, and this communication can be passed on from the managing director to the heads of the department, the heads communicating with the team leaders communicating with the supervisors, and the supervisors then passing on the information to the workers. This is called as downward communication, and both together they are called as vertical communication. Then you have another communication that takes place, that is through horizontal communication, communication at the same level. When people at the same level communicate with one another, share information, that is called as horizontal communication. It is also called as lateral communication. Now, let us move on to the details of upward communication. As I've already told you, information flowing from the lower levels of a hierarchy to the upper levels is upward communication. Let us understand what sort of communication takes place in upward channel. So, for example, workers might report to their supervisor about their progress. They might also report about the difficulties that they face in the organization during the work. They could also give certain suggestions, and they could report official information. For example, if they want to take leave or something like that. And then the next is, let us understand the benefits of these upward channels. Since in the formal communication, which takes place mostly through written communication, there is a possibility that misinterpretation could arise, and there is a possibility that this personal contact is not maintained. So therefore, there is always a distance that is maintained between the sender and the receiver. But by encouraging oral communication through the upward channels, there is a possibility that you can foster friendly relations, and you can also give valuable feedback feedback. You can obtain valuable feedback from the employees, and you can encourage participation of the employees. It is considered to be a two-way process, and you can encourage the employees to give their suggestions. So when they give the suggestion for introducing new projects, for example, and if it is acknowledged and appreciated, their efforts are appreciated, it definitely boosts the morale of the employee. Having understood the benefits, let us now move on to the drawbacks of upward channels. Upward communication has many drawbacks. For example, the first major drawback is the psychological contract. That is, psychologically, it is implanted in their mind that all the employees, the lower level, the subordinates, they believe that the information flows from the top officials to the subordinates in the form of instructions or orders. And so therefore, they hesitate to communicate. In fact, they develop this resistance to communicate with their higher officials. And then there is obviously a fear of incompetence all the time. And this is developed because most of the time the messages are not heard. They are not appreciated for their efforts. They are not acknowledged for their efforts. And thus, it becomes difficult for communication to take place. And most of the time, the subordinates, they are unwilling to admit the failure. So any sort of failure, they are not willing to admit. And this becomes difficult, for the employees, to communicate with their superiors because any sort of communication could be considered as a failure on their part. So having understood the drawbacks, let us now move on to how to overcome the limitations of upward communication. So the limitations can be overcome when once, there is a personalized communication. So every communication need not flow through the written channels. Sometimes oral communication should also be considered by passing information. And this can be done when you have a one-to-one contact with a person. You tend to communicate through oral communication, whereby you understand the feelings of the employees. You want them to express the feelings, you understand them better, and thus it can definitely overcome the limitations of upward communication. Then the right communication medium should be chosen. For particular information, you have to decide whether it should pass through written communication or through oral communication. Then you have to create channels for employees to express. For example, open door policy can be encouraged within the organization. And moreover, the hierarchical structure can sometimes be deviated in order to suit the purposes of the organization. That is, the workers at the lowest level should get an opportunity to communicate their grievances or difficulties or any other problems that they have related to the organization with their with their managing director without following any formal channels. Then let us move on now to the downward communication. And downward communication, as we all know, it is flow of information and messages from a higher level inside an organization to a lower one. Now let us understand what sort of communication takes place through the downward channels. So written manuals and handbooks can be shared with the employees regarding the information about the organization, the goals of the organization, and the expectation of the organization, and the target of the organization. And then you have information related to memos. Now, memos are not always the warnings. Memos are also considered as reminders that can be sent to the employees so that they can complete the work at the proper time. And then you have the policies or the procedures that needs to be informed to the employees every now and then. So any change in the policy or the procedure, so the employees should be informed, and that is done through written communication. And then comes the next part is oral presentations are conducted. So as to overcome the drawbacks of written communication, oral presentations are given so that a better understanding is possible through the oral communication, oral presentations. Then with this examples, let us now move on to the benefits of downward communication. Downward communication, first is organizational discipline. As the higher officials, they are delegating the work to the lower officials. So therefore, they are able to have a control on the lower officials or the subordinates. And this results in the discipline of the organization. And this discipline can definitely lead to the efficiency of each individual or each employee in the organization. And then it becomes very easy for the higher officials or the managing director to delegate the responsibilities, to delegate the work to all the employees through the official channels. And then it reduces distortion of information that passes from the higher officials to the hierarchical structure. It can reduce the distortion because at each level, the employees will interpret the message and accordingly pass on to the other section or the other hierarchical section, depending upon the nature of their understanding or analyzing, to what extent they can understand. And this is very helpful. And the next is there's a possibility of effective communication goals in the downward channels. And then you have effective decision making. Decision making can be very effective in the downward channels because the efficiency of the people will increase, and that helps in decision making possible. And then it avoids bypassing most of the time, if communication is not followed to the hierarchical structure, so some of the employees might not receive the information. But if it is follows the hierarchical structure, all the employees, they receive the information, and therefore it avoids bypassing. And then next, we would like to talk about the limitations of the downward channel. The first is there is a slow feedback in the downward channel because there's a long chain of communication, and it is time consuming. And so therefore, by the time the workers or the people at the lowest level receive information, already a lot of time might have passed, and therefore the feedback is always delayed. And then comes the next limitation, that is a tendency to modify information. So when information is passed on, in a hierarchical structure, so everybody will like to interpret the information as per their background information or as per their understanding. So there is a tendency that the information might be modified at every level. Then there is a problem that people might face, problems in interpreting the information the way the sender wanted them to interpret. And this could actually create problems because the message sent might be quite different from what has been understood by the employees. And then comes the next problem is too much control on the employees. In downward communication, there seems to be too much control over the employees, monitoring each and every aspect of what they are doing, and even trying to impose certain strict rules with the employees that might result in unwillingness of the employees to put in their effort. Then comes the next point, that is, it is time consuming, which I've already told you. And the next point is it lowers the morale of the employees. Then next we move on to how to overcome the limitations of downward communication. The first is you have to maintain a respectful tone. So anything that is communicated using the downward communication, there should be and mutual respect. Rather, the higher officials should respect the lower officials and consider them as human beings first, and then the workers at the second level. Then the next part is resort to one-to-one communication. If you want to overcome the problems that are faced in downward channels, you must resort to one-to-one communication, that is, communicate to each employee at an individual level so that you have a better understanding of that particular employee and you can resolve the problems of the particular employee. Then comes the next part is you can reduce the distortion of information if you take immediate feedback, or if you want the person to find out to what extent he or she has understood the message correctly. So therefore you can reduce the distortion of information. And then you can create concise communication. Instead of communicating long and lengthy messages, brief and to the point messages can be communicated so that it is easily understood by the employees. And then necessary explanation and feedback should be provided at each level. And sometimes if it is required, you can shorten the communication line so that the message can be passed on to the concerned person very fast. And then you can listen for the signals when you're communicating through oral communication. So it is very easy for you to identify the signals that can be communicated through the non-verbal way. So by observing the body language, by observing the facial expressions, and so on. So now, having moved on, understanding the limitations of how to overcome the limitations of downward channel, let us now move on to the horizontal communication. Horizontal communication, as I told you, is communication between people at the same level. So for example, the production manager can communicate with the purchase manager, the sales manager. The sales manager in turn can communicate with the purchase manager. The purchase manager can then communicate to the sales manager, and the sales manager can communicate to the production manager, and this can continue. And this communication is also called as lateral communication. Now let us understand the benefits of horizontal communication. It checks grapevine. Grapevine because is considered to be informal. That is, rumors could be passed in grapevine communication. So when horizontal communication is encouraged, automatically it reduces, because you're going to talk about official matters. So it reduces the gossips and rumors that could occur otherwise in informal communication. Then it removes the jealousy of the individuals, and it also can give you immediate feedback, and it can resolve the conflict of the that could arise in the hierarchical structure. And then it also saves time, and you also have better coordination and cooperation amongst each other. It can lead to the efficiency of the employees, and also it can increase the productivity of the employees. So with this type of benefit, now let us understand what could be the limitations of horizontal communication. The first limitation that can occur is the possibility of decreased managerial control. Too much of horizontal communication can ultimately lead to a decline in the managerial control. So the managers will not have a hold on the employees, and this could be difficult for the manager, because sometimes the information may not reach the manager. And then the next is interpersonal conflict. There could be interpersonal conflict because when people are communicating with one another, the difference of opinion could arise, and this difference of opinion could be very serious unless and until it is managed properly by someone. And then comes the next point, that is increase in time consumption. If in horizontal communication, too much of it is encouraged, there's a possibility that this communication can be extended, to your personal talk, and this personal talk could lead to too much of time consumption. You might, shift your focus, from your official work to your personal discussion, and this is not very healthy for the organization. And then the possibility of a decline in discipline. Yes, because if you're involved in too much of personal talk, then there is no discipline that is maintained. You can go on and on with your personal talk as long as you feel like. So you will be neglecting your duties, you'll be neglecting your official work, and this can hamper the progress of the organization. Then comes the last point, that is the hostility amongst employees. So therefore, if some people are not very comfortable by discussing the personal talk, by getting involved in the personal talk, might feel offended, might feel disturbed, and this can result in hostility amongst employees in the organization, which is not a very healthy signal. Then comes how to overcome the limitations of horizontal communication. The first point is you can overcome the limitation by acknowledging the efforts of all the employees. So the manager or the director should have the ability to acknowledge the efforts of all the employees equally, not to discriminate between employees, and thus it would help in better understanding of all the employees. And then the second is encouraging healthy competition. If healthy competition is encouraged, automatically everybody will be feel they belong to the organization, and moreover the trust with the managing director will also improve, and this can lead to the productivity of the organization, because healthy competition will ensure individual growth, and this individual growth will finally lead to the growth of the organization. Now, next we move on to you refrain from biases and prejudices. if you want to overcome the limitation, you have to stop being biased and prejudiced against a particular individual, and do not listen to the gossips that takes place, and do not listen to people who come and inform you about someone. It is better you be your own judge. You try to find out what is good and what is bad on the basis of your observation and on factual information that you have gathered. Then comes checking for authentic information. It is necessary that all information passed through horizontal communication needs to be checked through the formal channels, because it is necessary that this information sometimes may be covered up with their personal feelings or their personal biases and prejudices. So therefore it is necessary to check for authentic information if you want to overcome the limitations of horizontal communication. Then comes the next part, that is remove discrimination. Discrimination should be removed in an organization, and this has to be followed by everybody, by the top officials, by the managing director, by the head of the organization, so that nobody is discriminated on the basis of the clothes that you wear, on the basis of your looks, on the basis of your skin color, and so on. Next we move on to the informal communication. Informal communication, as I told you, they do not follow any particular structure, and therefore they are considered to be casual and unofficial. And most of the communication, all the communication takes place through oral communication, and a record is not maintained. Therefore, it is considered to be the appropriate communication, whereby the employees can open up with their feelings, and they can also have an emotional outburst at some time. So this type of communication is also called as grapevine communication. Grapevine communication, because just like the grape tree, which is considered to be a vine tree, it does not follow any direction while growing. Similarly, informal channels, they do not follow any direction when the messages are spread across, and they can spread in any manner depending upon how the people they spread the messages. So having understood this, let us move on to the different networks that is possible through the informal channels. The first is the probability network. That is, for example, employee A communicates information to B, C, D, E, and F. And then one of the employees, that is F, can communicate to G, and G in turn can communicate to H, I, and J. There's a probability network that is followed sometimes. And then you have the cluster network, that is a group of people from different sections or from different departments or different roles that have been assigned to them can meet together in an informal surrounding, and they can discuss amongst themselves whatever information they want to share related to the organization or otherwise as well. Then comes a chain, this network, which is very common in any organization. Information passing from one person to the other, it moves on. It is a long chain of network, and this is also called as a single strand. That is, information moves from one person to the other. And then you have the gossip network. That is when people from different departments of different different responsibilities that have been assigned, if they get together and they start discussing about the employee who is not present, it amounts to gossip. This gossip can sometimes be healthy for the organization, but most of the time it is considered to be unhealthy for the organization because it can lead to rumors, that is information that is not true about the particular person, about the goals of the organization, for example. And so this can spoil the reputation of the organization, as well as it can spoil the reputation of the concerned individual as well. So having understood the different networks, now let us understand the benefits of informal channels. The first benefit is the speed at which the message passes from one person to the other, and that is why it is preferred. And the next is valuable feedback is possible, as all communication takes place through oral communication, and then you can check on your emotions. That is, you can have a release of your stress and your emotions, and this is possible only in an oral communication and informal surrounding. Now let us move on to the limitations. The limitations are it to spread rumors. As I told you, it can hamper the image of the organization, or it can actually spoil the reputation of an individual as well, because the information that is spread through gossip, it is not authentic information. Most of them would be as a result of their own imagination, or they want to deliberately spread those rumors so that the reputation of the person is at stake. Then the other part is it distorts messages. Messages are distorted in informal channels. And because, as I told you, everybody will want to add their own idea or their own interpretation or their own belief. And then it affects the productivity of the organization. And then people lack control in informal channels. Now, importance and need. In spite of understanding the limitations of informal channels, the question that arises in our mind is, why do organizations encourage informal channels? So the main reason why organization encourages informal channels is because you can develop group cohesiveness, that is group understanding, that is the bond between employees in a group. And in an organization, as we all know, that it is required for all of us to work in teams. Individual effort is no longer encouraged in an organization. So when we work in teams, like you have to have a better understanding of our members. And this is possible only when in informal channels, you develop that understanding through oral communication by opening up with your problems or opening up with your ideas. And then comes the emotional supportive value that is possible in grapevine communication or in informal communication, because when you are understood, automatically you will get the emotional support that you require, that you so much require, that you so much need. And then it provides valuable feedback, and therefore organizations prefer to encourage informal communication. And it also is a supplement to formal channels. As I told you earlier, information that could be delayed through the formal channels could be passed very fast to the informal channels. And also the organization, in order to ensure efficiency of grapevine communication, should be able to control grapevine communication and not allowed to be used beyond the time limit that is assigned to grapevine communication. For example, the lunch breaks should not be extended beyond a certain time. At a particular allotted time should be allotted for lunch breaks, and it should not be allowed to extend beyond that time, so that people can report to their work and can concentrate on their work and can involve themselves in productive work rather than in unproductive work. And this can be done when the manager or the higher officials they have control over the grapevine channels. So now I would like to thank you for being patient listeners. And I would also like to remind you that in the description box, I have uploaded a quiz. So kindly solve the quiz so that you can understand to what extent you have been able to get a good grasp of this information. So thank you all once again.